So originally I didn't really want to make this list because there are so many amazing films out there. I knew that making this list would be incredibly difficult because there are literally hundreds and hundreds of films that I love. Not just like, love. However, there was also a part of me that wanted to make this list for two reasons. One, more views on my channel, kind of obvious. And two, every time I tell somebody that I'm a film lover, they always ask me the same question: what is your favorite movie? And I could never answer that question because I couldn't pick one out of the hundreds, possibly even thousands of films that I love as my personal best. But finally, I decided to listen to that small part of me that wanted to make this list. Hence this video. Keep in mind that just like every single other human being out there, my movie selections are going to be very different and unique than others. So, if there is a film on this list that you think shouldn't be on here, or that you think is missing, that's great. It's great to have your own unique opinions. If you want to argue about a film that you think is missing or should be on this list, then please present your opinion nicely in the comments section below. So, without further ado, let's get started on my top 20 favorite movies of all time. Number 20. Paddington 2. Yeah, I'm surprised too. I'm putting a film that just came out as one of my favorite movies of all time, because this movie really is absolutely brilliant and charming. This is a movie that teaches great lessons to kids about looking at the world in a positive way, and it contains great acting, beautiful cinematography, and Hugh Grant, who I usually don't like but adored in this movie. Both Paddington movies are marvelous kids films that should be seen by, well, everyone, and has something for everyone to enjoy. It is still in theaters right now, and I highly recommend that all of you go see it. Number 19. Citizen Kane. Many people consider this film to be one of, if not the best movie of all time. This is incredible considering that when it first came out, a lot of people actually did not like this movie at all. In fact, this movie earned 7 Oscar nominations, and when the film was named at the ceremony, it was actually booed. So for me, I really like this movie, but I just can't put this film any higher on my list than this. But even though this film is so low on my list, it still is much better than literally hundreds, no, thousands of films out there. This film has wonderful acting, directing, and writing by Orson Welles, and big praise must be given to the director of photography Greg Toland, Robert Wise, who's the editor on this film, and Bernard Herrmann, who composed the score. This film is absolutely riveting from start to finish and ends with one of the most famous plot twists of all time. This is for sure an amazing film, but just not one that I can say is my absolute favorite.
Mr. Thatcher, I did lose $1 million last year. I expect to lose $1 million this year. I expect to lose $1 million next year. You know, Mr. Thatcher, at the rate of $1 million a year, I'll have to close this place in 60 years.
Number 18. Collateral. This is a film that went under a lot of people's radar when it first came out and still hasn't really developed that much of a cult following, which is a shame because this film is pretty much as perfect as a film can be. Every single technical aspect of this film is incredible, and the story is intense and engaging. Tom Cruise is great as the main character Vincent the Hitman, but a ton of praise should be given to Jamie Foxx, who plays Max the cab driver, and for his performance in this film, he earned one of 2 nominations in the same ceremony at the 78th Academy Awards, winning for the second nomination for his performance in Ray. What I like most about this movie is that the writer and director succeed in making this movie feel so real by making the characters very realistic, relatable, and, well, overall well-rounded. If you haven't seen this perfect film, then definitely check it out. Number 17. Back to the Future. This film is just the epitome of fun. From the start of this film, you are brought into the world of guitar playing, skateboard riding, teenager Marty McFly, and the crazy time traveling adventure he has to go on. The director, Robert Zemeckis, directs this movie beautifully, and the Huey Lewis song, The Power of Love, is one of my favorite songs of all time. I'm pretty sure that everyone watching this video has seen this film, but if you haven't, as soon as you stop watching a video, watch Back to the Future.
Next Saturday night, we're sending you back to the future.
Number 16, The Lion King. You can't make any best movies list without including a movie from Disney on here. So, of course, I was going to put one on this list. And why not my favorite Disney film of all time, The Lion King? This film blends comedy, drama, and great life lessons perfectly and tells this wonderful, kind of spiritual story about a young lion who goes through tragedy but then must find his place in the circle of life and reclaim his rightful title as the king of the jungle. No matter how hard I try, I will always cry and sing like an idiot whenever I'm watching this movie. The music is just so good and the emotional moments are, well, emotional. I am kind of excited for the remake coming out next year, since I am a fan of Childish Gambino, aka Donald Glover, who is playing Simba, and I am a fan of Beyonce, who will be playing Nala, and director Jon Favreau, who also directed the first Iron Man movie, and the Jungle Book remake, is going to be directing it. However, no matter how good or bad the remake will be, the original animated masterpiece will always be, well, a masterpiece, and my favorite Disney movie of all time. When it comes to acclaimed director Alfred Hitchcock, his films are hit or miss for me. I know that some of you film lovers are going to hate me for this, but I didn't really like Vertigo, and I thought North by Northwest was just okay. Notorious and Rear Window are excellent films. However, in my opinion, his best movie is Psycho. This film is about Secretary Marion Crane, who steals money from her employer and hides in a hotel owned by Norman Bates, who is this deeply troubled individual who is also kind of a mama's boy. During the rest of this film, we go on this harrowing journey with Marion. Or so you think. Just a heads up, I am going to be spoiling some major plot points in this movie. However, I think it's kind of pointless to alert you of that because the plot twist is one of the most famous of all time. So, since the film begins focused on the character Marion, you are led to believe that she will be the focus of the film. However, 30 minutes in the film, she is killed in that infamous shower scene, presumably by Norman's psychotic mother. From here on out, the film becomes even more intense and unpredictable, and more twists come on the way. Janet Leigh is great as Marion Crane, but major praise should be given to Anthony Perkins for his complex performance as Norman Bates. This is another film that I think is, well, perfect, and definitely belongs on this list. Number 14. Up. So just like with Disney, I could not make this list without including a Pixar movie on here. So I decided to include my favorite Pixar movie, Up, on this list. I'm pretty sure that most, if not all of you have seen this movie, so I'm not going to bother saying anything about the plot. All I'm going to say is that with this movie, with each viewing, you will need a box of tissues because tears will be coming out. Oh, and Michael Giacchino's score is absolutely beautiful. Okay, let's move on. Number 13. Some Like It Hot. So just like with Alfred Hitchcock, Billy Wilder is a director whose films I either really like or don't. But to me, his best film, without a doubt, is Some Like It Hot. Some may argue that Double Indemnity or Sunset Boulevard is his best film. Those films are pretty good. However, Some Like It Hot is a film that, unlike those previous two films, I can watch more than once and appreciate the more I watch it due to how funny and clever it is. I won't say much about the story, just that these two poor musicians witness these gangsters kill and must hide from the gangsters by disguising themselves as women and joining this all-female band. This is one of the funniest movies that I have ever seen. No matter how many times I see this movie, I will always laugh at the same jokes and appreciate the same acting and one-liners. Definitely check this movie out. Number 12. Saving Private Ryan. Finally, I get to talk about a film by one of my favorite directors of all time, Steven Spielberg. This film is about a squadron of 8 US Army Rangers led by Captain Miller who go behind enemy lines during World War II to find Private First Class James Francis Ryan, who is the last surviving brother of the four Ryan servicemen, all of them brothers, obviously. Despite not being based on a true story, this film portrays the environment and atmosphere that was going on during World War II really graphically, but also very realistically. I really have to hand it to Spielberg for trying his hardest to portray the war accurately and honor all the fallen soldiers and veterans, and he definitely succeeded. The actors playing the Rangers deliver excellent performances, especially Tom Hanks, who, I mean, you all know who that is, who plays Captain Miller. It is a long film, about 3 hours long, but it is an important one that I think that everyone should watch. Number 11, Seven Samurai. This is the extremely beautiful and influential Japanese film that inspired the excellent American adaptation called The Magnificent Seven, starring Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen, which in turn inspired a remake of The Magnificent Seven, starring Denzel Washington and Chris Pratt. Seven Samurai starts out slow but picks up almost instantly and never stops in terms of how emotional the film gets. Despite what the title may suggest, the film isn't really action centric and is very subtle in both the action and the writing. However, if you appreciate slow building moments and subtlety, then you will definitely like this movie. Rather than containing sort of fast paced action like the American remake did, the movie focuses more on having the audience care about the villagers and really building up the Seven Samurai very well. This film contains beautiful directing and cinematography by Akira Kurosawa, and the acting, especially from Toshiro Mifune, is incredible. It is a slow film and at times may get kind of boring for some people, but I still suggest that you watch this film if you haven't.